and I'll be giving a quick review about whatever I've learned for Intro to C Programming this semester. My name is Shivnesh, and today I'll be talking about the variables, initializing, declaring, and syntaxes, input output, printf and scanf, the selection, if and if else, loops, for, while and do while, and the arrays, declaring, initializing and accessing. Now, as you can see, for the variables, there are actually four basic variables being used, such as integer, which in short form is int, char, which stands for character, double, and float, which are basically like numbers with a decimal point. Now, for integer I, example, I could declare a value for integer I, such as, for in this case, 3, and if I declare integer I has another value such as 5, the earlier value gets override. And moving on to input and output. Now for scanf, you have to assign a value. Scanf is basically used to read a user's input and assign a value to the said variable. Like in this case, I'm using %li, which stands for floating point, and assigning it to a in float a. Now printf, it prints the user's output onto the screen, whereas like it says that in this case is printf in the brackets %i with set I, which means I'm going to print out integer I onto the screen, the value of integer I. Now these are some of the syntaxes being used, which is one of it is %i or %d, it stands the same, %c, which stands for character, %s, which stands for string, and %f or lf, either one, it'll stand the same. Now moving on to selection. Now if all this is a selection statement by its own. Now this is how you initialize if. You could put if the condition in this bracket is true, then this statement is being carried out, else the program stops. Or in case you have another option where if this condition isn't true and another action is to be carried out, you could add a statement below the else and it becomes a if else statement. Now moving on to loops, for the for loop is quite interesting, as in you could write in the statements and the conditions for the for loop in the brackets itself. Now the first one is for variable initialization, where you could initialize a value as I equals 0 or I equals 1, which means it starts at that number. And the middle here is for condition, where you could say that it ends just before, like x is lesser than 10, which means it ends at 9. And for the variable update, you could increment the value or decrement it, or even not write anything at all. It depends solely on the program. If according to these conditions given, and the statement will be carried out. Now for the while loop, if the condition in this bracket is true, the statement is carried out, else it is not. The program ends and that's it. Now the do while is not so different from the while, except that the statement is carried out at least once before the condition checks itself, which means basically in the while loop the condition is being checked and only then the statement is being carried out, whereas in this loop the statement is carried out at least once, then only is the condition being checked. Now moving on to arrays. Now in here you could declare an array with 5 spaces like this by putting in the variables such as int, in this case a5, which means I'm declaring a integer array of 5 spaces. I could also declare a character array, char array, and even make it 2D with rows and columns such as this, char array, 3 columns, 3 rows. Now to declare or initialize a value inside an array, I could put in, like in this case, integer f5, array of 5 spaces, and may put some curly brackets inside and put some values such as 16, 2, 77, 40 and 12071, and I should never override this value, whereas the program then crashes because only 5 spaces are being allocated for this array. But I could also declare another way where I don't put how many spaces are there, but I put in earlier that this is an array. I don't state how many spaces of the array for the array being allocated has, and in the curly brackets I could put 5 numbers, which means this array is supposed to hold 5 numbers, 5 spaces. I could even change the value later on in this array, or each individual number, by saying that integer f space of 0 is equals to 20 in the curly brackets, which means this array of starting point 0, has said before, the arrays always start from 0 and moves on to whatever number which is being stated. Like example, f5 doesn't exactly end at 5, it actually ends at f0. It starts from 0 and ends at 4, which means it's 5 spaces as an all. And to example, to print a specific value from one of the array spaces, I could put this %i, because as long as it is an integer, and put the specific space like such as f0 or f1 or f2, and it will print that specific value only. And that's it. Thank you.